I'm sorry, folks, but the wee girl from Northern Ireland has to have her say. We can't not answer back and talk about what we are doing in Northern Ireland. So supporting customers in tough times was what I was asked to talk about. And, you know, to me, that's just not about welfare reform. And I've talked at length about welfare reform. But I wanted to focus a wee bit more about supporting our customers who are our customers and tough times. Are times tough? So let's take a wee journey. And let's look back to the year 1963. Now, 1963 was a fabulous year, and some wonderful things happened in 1963. But were they?
Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day.
That's my singing done. What happened in 1963? Lots of things happened in 1963. And if you look at it, some of it's so relevant to today. There was a failed military coup in Syria. Would you believe it? A hurricane in Haiti. Things that still keep happening. Nelson Mandela's trial began. John F. Kennedy was assassinated, but on the same day, C.S. Lewis died as well. And the Berlin Wall opened for the first time to West Berliners for a day pass. Some very significant things happened in 1963. And if we move on very slightly to 1969, I think actually I should remember, was it 1965, North and West Housing Association was formed? Should have mentioned that. What happened in 1969? Man landed on the moon for the first time. Concorde took its first flight. The Troubles, as they were referred to, started in Northern Ireland. And that's very significant for us because that led to the formation of the Housing Executive, who have done a wonderful job for the past 40 years and have put housing in Northern Ireland where it is today. The average house price for $4,500. But most significantly, when we're talking about the people that we're having to support and our customers, in 1969, there were 2 million children living in poverty. And in 1973, the issue of that child poverty really came to the fore because the National Children's Bureau published the Born to Fail report, and that was based on conditions at the end of the 1960s. And from that, apparently Gordon Brown was very, very touched by this, and what he had said was he was setting a target that by 2020, the Labour government would eradicate child poverty. And in Northern Ireland, the same year, 1973, the recently formed Housing Executive took over the functions of the Newtown Development Commissions and became the Regional Strategic Housing Authority, the only one in the UK, and the one that people looked at and thought, wish we had that. Fast forward to today, Concorde doesn't fly anymore. And hopefully, the Troubles are well behind us. And we do have the local Northern Ireland Executive, we do have local ministers, and hopefully that will help us to deliver and support our tenants and our customers. But some of the other things about today, eradicating child poverty, unachievable. Every government has now accepted that. They've reduced their target a bit. They would like to reduce it to less than 10% by 2020. But that same organisation, the National Children's Bureau, this year published another report, Greater Expectations. And you know what? 3.6 million children are now living in poverty. And it's worth noting that throughout that time, the number of children has been constant. It's been 13 million, but there are now 1.6 more children living in poverty. All sorts of issues there for education. What does the future hold for those? All of those things. And then let's look specifically at Northern Ireland and poverty and social exclusion in Northern Ireland. 2 bits of research this year that are very important. And Queen's took part in an overall UK poverty and social exclusion. Some of the things that came out of that are very stark, folks. More than 14,000 families, they're saying, can't afford to eat 2 meals a day. 6.4% of our population not properly fed by today's standards. We all know about the heater eat and not being able to heat their home. But 43% of people are unable to pay an unexpected but unnecessary bill. And more research recently done by the Post Office, based only on people who had accounts for them in full-time employment, were saying that most of them, over 60%, faced a financial crisis every year and faced something that they couldn't pay for. The Northern Ireland Poverty Bulletin, which the DSD publishes, if you look at the recent one, August 13, the news isn't much happier. Average income levels decreasing in Northern Ireland 3 years in a row. 24% of our population in absolute poverty. 109 children in absolute poverty. 235,000 adults. And 79,000, 27% of pensioners in absolute poverty. This is our customer base. These are the people that we need to be looking to how we can sustain and we can support. How do we go about it? How do we support our customers in real tough times? Well, we do. In Northern Ireland, we do. And we don't get enough good press. We've said it all day. Fold Housing Association, that I'm lucky to work for, is the biggest social enterprise in Northern Ireland. We employ over 800 people. We have an annual turnover of £35 million. We touch the lives of so many people. We provide services to people who choose to live in Fold, be that general family, older people, supported, whatever. But we provide so many more services to people who don't live in Fold accommodation. 26,000 customers, telecare, telehealth, stay and put, helping people to disabled adaptations to the home so that they can keep living there. We have so many services that we can provide. We've developed a new floating support service for older people who live in wherever their home happens to be, owner-occupied, housing executive, private rented. Only 4% of older people live in sheltered housing, 96% don't. So, I think what we've acknowledged, we need to support our customers in real tough times. And I do think we need to reflect, and a few of the speakers have said today, our core purpose is not just about building properties, and growing is not just about numbers. What we need to be doing is to deliver to those in need. And we are all doing that, and we are being taxed by the welfare reforms that are coming in. And we are looking at how do we help. We've trained our staff to give benefit advice, to give debt advice, to give money advice. We are looking at things like crisis loans. Can we be doing something to help people to get over that one particular issue? Because really what we're going to have to look at is the housing management function. And I think what we need to start doing is risk assessing housing management. We're quite good at risk assessment of development. What's the risks? What do we need to avoid? Now, there are some risks that are just very obvious. Relet turnaround times, voids, arrears. Those things are going to go up. But far more importantly are the risks to real people and to communities. The risk to, if people aren't able to sustain their tenancies, that the whole community will be impacted by that. And our main function then, when we're looking, is a culture change in housing management. We've got to sustain communities. We talk about it. What does it mean? To me, it means a back to basics on housing management. We've talked about social media. It's a good use of getting your message out there. I don't believe it's a good communication with our tenants. We can send out messages, we can have quality or quantity of communication. Quality of communication is what we need. We need face-to-face housing officers on the ground who know our tenants, who know the communities, and who are there to help. We need to be doing a whole culture change of housing management to sustain all our customers, because supporting our customers is sustaining our tenancies. If they can't sustain their tenancies, all sorts of implications for us. We don't get the income, it costs us money to do the relets, but think of the personal cost to the families, to the people, to the communities. So sustaining tenancies has to be our primary function. Now, we've talked about housing-led regeneration, or even better, community-led regeneration. It's not a new, it's not something new that somebody's dreamt up. It's in the strategy, that's fine. We've actually been doing it for years. But what we're hoping is that the housing-led regeneration that the Minister's announced in his strategy will be the vehicle to allow us to properly sustain our tenancies and support our tenants. What we need is to be enabled to do the things we want to do. We don't want to just build houses. We want to be doing all the things we were showcasing earlier today, and we want to be able to do everything. I am really excited that the Minister's excited about what's going on in Manchester and Liverpool, because in Manchester and Liverpool, the funding structures are different, and they can access funds for play provision, for schools, for health, for all of those things, enable us to do the same things. Fold have a very big scheme that we're in the process of developing and planning at the minute. The last thing we want to do is build houses and create a problem. So please enable us to do what needs to be done. Because together, we have to make tomorrow's world better. Because we are talking about, if you look back to 1963 and you fast forward to today, the same problems are there, the same problems exist. And I want to finish off today, folks, by if you like, answering the Minister back. I was glad to hear what he had to say today. And his strategy, he was saying that he wants to breathe new life into areas. What I'm saying is, tell us what you want us to do, but please don't prescribe to us exactly how you want us to do it. You want us to be creative and innovative? Let us be creative and innovative. We know what we're doing. We're good at what we're doing. Please let us get on and do it. As I've said, Liverpool and Manchester, we are so willing to learn from what they're doing. But things are different, and we need to have that level playing field here. The whole allowing and enabling us to be innovative and creative, and just a very simple idea. We talked about the social clause, we talked about the steps to work. It's not working. Kids don't want to come for 10 weeks and at the end of it there's nothing. Allow us to do proper apprenticeships. We're going to be on site for 3 years. Allow us to have proper apprenticeships the whole way through, create community jobs, to do our grounds maintenance, to do all of that work. So it's back to, tell us what you want us to do. Please don't tell us exactly how to do it. So I want to finish by saying, Minister McCausland, we heard you. We are ready. We have no notion of hesitating. We're ready today. You challenged us today. Please enable us today.